Let me preface this by saying I'm not a doctor, so keep that in mind. That's my caveat. And this is my understanding. This is my little model that I got a long time ago when I was having major spinal issues. Anyway, this model is pretty neat because it can, show you the basic structure of the spinal column. If you look at the column here, let's assume this part here faces the front of the body. This part here is the back. And so when you feel somebody's backbone, when you feel them in the back, these are the areas that they're probably feeling. The front part contains this part of the vertebral body, and of course this is where the discs are in between. You could, for this visual, you can say that this is L4, L5 area. So this would be L5, L4, L3, L2. And in between the vertebrae bodies are the discs, and that's for cushioning, obviously. One thing to keep in mind is that these individual vertebrae are not really connected to each other with bone. The bones are actually separate. The bones, if it wasn't for the ligaments and muscles that are all surrounding the spinal column, these vertebrae would be separate. They would just fall apart from each other. But the ligaments and muscles that are surrounding this whole column is what keeps everything tight and together. And the reason for them being separate is because that way it gives you a lot of flexibility. That's why you can bend down. Your spinal column can twist and turn and do all kinds of neat things within reason because of the fact that they're really separate and just held together with ligaments and muscle. From the top, if you notice, this would be the spinal cord here, and because of the structure of the vertebrae, there's a natural hole between this part where the discs are and this part that sticks in the back. There's a natural hole that occurs in between in the vertebrae body themselves, and that's where the spinal cord runs. You can kind of see it here. Barely you can see it running down the column. And that's just because of the anatomy of the structure. Now, the actual vertebrae consist of these bony structures sticking out. For sure, I'm not positive, but for sure this one, I think here, the main one that sticks out directly perpendicular to your body is called a pedicle. These other two here may be pedicles or they may be transverse processes. I'm not sure what the names are. But the importance of this is that if I turn the model around, you see where the nerves come out of the spinal column. Because, again, of the structure of the vertebral bodies, there's a natural gap that occurs where the nerves can come out. I'll use my pen. There's a natural gap here where the nerves can come out. That hole, that gap is called the foramen. And then finally, the little area between the transverse processes and the pedicle, right here, where they're right in between these guys, is called the laminae, and that's where they do the laminectomy, I believe. And why does that work? Well, if you notice, this is where a nerve is coming out to some part of your body. If you excise this bone, then all of a sudden this nerve has a lot of room to move around, and if it was being compressed because of this bone being maybe it's grown a little bit too far in because of natural degenerative processes of the body, you take that out, all of a sudden it's got more room. If it just happens to be a ligament that's running down here, and it's gotten the ligaments have gotten real tough and overgrown for some reason, and it's pushing on the nerve. Well, they clean out that ligament a little bit, then all of a sudden this nerve has more room to come out. That's my understanding of it. And I think that's about it. Let me know.